Hey everybody, welcome to Clandestine Cabal, a comic book review show. I'm Jason.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Matt. Ignore that siren outside.
And this is a little different episode. We're not reviewing the individual issues. We have come to the end. Oh wait, no, I had a great introduction for this. Here we are, Born to be Kings. That's a Queen song. Here we are at the end of 4 weeks of September, which has happened to be one of the biggest months in comic book history. DC, if you haven't seen any of our previous videos or haven't been watching the news,
Then stop watching and go watch them.
yeah. But basically, DC restarted all their series, and over this month they've released 52 number one issues to 52 new books, and they have turned the DC universe on its head. And we are basically just going to give you our final impressions as we say goodbye to this first month and look forward to many months afterwards. And you guys have any general comments?
Well, I feel like a good place to start is just I remember when you and I were hanging out, I think at your brother Matt's house, not this Matt, your brother Matt's house, and we first heard about how they were gonna completely reboot the DC universe, and we were like, what?
I knew something big was coming after Flashpoint, but that?
Yeah. And I mean, that wasn't even that. I mean, it feels like it wasn't that long ago.
Was that 4 months ago?
Yeah, I don't know. And just waiting for that, and I remember I was incredibly behind on my comics too at the time, and I was like, I gotta catch up so that I can start reading the DCnU on time. Because I mean, honestly, who wants to read old comics when the DCnU finally starts?
Yeah, it's like nothing really. I'm not gonna say nothing in the past comics matter anymore, but it seems like a lot of it's just retconned.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was a lot that was retconned, but there was also a lot that wasn't. Pretty much, for the most part, almost all of Batman, it still stands.
Yeah.
And
anything that Jeff Johns wrote.
Yeah, everything that Jeff Johns wrote, all the Green Lantern stuff still stands. And there's the Red Hooded Woman from Flashpoint that is in every single number one issue.
Yes. Look, I actually started doing that today. Look, she kind of appears in the background of in one panel of every single issue, similar to Fringe fans out there, similar to the Observer.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I think I don't know if that's a plot point that'll be picked up in things to come, but definitely looking forward to finding out more about this woman, because this is the woman who was there when Flash kind of reset the timeline.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Because I know there are a lot of people online that are kind of not pissed, but a little irritated about it, because the whole point of the DCnU is to start fresh, and it feels like already there's this tie to this plot that happened before the DC reboot.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't think they went into a lot of detail about it in the actual stuff, so, I mean, hopefully, if, you didn't read Flashpoint, it's something that people will pick up, hey, that's weird, that one was in the other issue, too.
Yeah.
So, I don't think, too much has been revealed to make it I think all you need to know is that she is a mysterious presence in the DC universe, because really that's all that we know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's probably going to be a long time before they actually say who she is. Mm-hmm. Since everything started over new, who knows when the next time we're going to have a crisis, or if we're going to have, a big crossover.
I believe DC has said they're going to abstain from big events for a while.
They've had so many over the course of
Seems
the past few
time.
years. I mean, Blackest Night was probably the biggest one that they've had. Since Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
Well, Flashpoint was pretty important too, just
right.
because it ushered in this.
And Flashpoint was amazing. I was a little skeptical about it first, but seeing how it all kind of played out and how it brought in this new universe, kind of pressing the reset button on everything. My expectations were reached, and I guess tenfold.
Let's talk about one of the big things that is important about this relaunch. Is it accessible to new readers? Because obviously that's what DC was trying to aim for. Right. They wanted to get as many new readers as they could.
I'd say about 85% of it is. There is some of it where they kind of expect you to know a lot about the characters, especially in the Batman comics. But I mean, who doesn't know Batman? But
even then, it was pretty easy to pick up.
It was.
Yeah.
The only problem I can see for a first-time reader is Green Lantern #1.
and the Legion superhero books.
Oh
Legion
my
Lost
God.
and
Yeah, I
Legion
forgot
Superheroes
about
number
those.
one.
I wanted so desperately to get into Legion, and I felt like I was so confused.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would just kind of reintroduce everything, not kind of cling on to the past.
So I get what they're doing with it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's really hard to start reading it.
I would say my overall impersonations of that. I would like to say that my expectations have been met, and in some ways, like even like surpassed, because I was skeptical at first of 2. Then they started announcing the writing and art teams, and they were like books that I automatically picked out. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great.
I remember back to like that first time when we heard about it, and the first one they had announced was Jeff Johns and Jim Lee, and we were both like,
whoa!
That's how you know that this shit is serious.
Yes.
So let's go to favorite books of the relaunch. I want to start out.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I believe that one of the places that DC has excelled in this relaunch is their so-called group of dark books,
Yes.
and that's usually in the form of Swamp Thing. Oh my lord!
Swamp Thing.
You need to pay attention to Swamp Thing because it is highly. I actually think that Scott Snyder's run on Swamp Thing could rival and even surpass Alan Moore. All right, I thought a comic book geek nerd with lightning bolt was going to hit me when I said that.
It's expected.
Oh, it will. But yeah, the dark titles. So Swamp Thing, Animal Man, Justice League Dark, which we just finished talking
Animal
about.
Man and Swamp Thing are officially going to tie in now. Look,
Oh, they are?
yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. You know how there's the red and the green.
Yes.
Like I wondered about this when I first read it,
Mhm.
but apparently they are interconnected somehow. And at
Oh,
some
that is
point,
awesome.
like Scott Snyder and Jeff Lemire, like are gonna team up.
Oh, and another thing, Frankenstein, Agent of Shield or Agent of Shade.
Yes.
Ooh.
Agent of Shield.
That was dangerous
Whoa.
there. Which I said before is like kind of a Hellboy-esque team, but really works well with the DC.
Ray Palmer is in there too,
Yeah.
which is something I don't think we got to point out earlier.
If you were wondering where he went, that's where he was. That's where he is now.
Their whole
And,
headquarters is like super small.
It's amazing.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
makes
good
it very
idea.
vulnerable, but also very hard to find.
So I mean, it's really just like this little bead that's just floating around everywhere. It could be in this room as we speak.
It's
if
like
it weren't a
Here's a Who.
Hey, what's
But yeah, and so all those. And speaking of Scott Snyder, the Batman titles, 4 Batman books now, and 4 Batman ongoing series. Not to mention the people associated with Batman:
Like
Nightwing, Batgirl, Batwoman, Batwing, and
There's also
all
a Huntress miniseries starting next week.
I don't give a
Yeah.
shit about her.
I'm just throwing that out there because she is typing.
They-
all of
so-
Be
for
warned on the Catwoman series, though. If you didn't see our previous video, just be ready to see some stuff.
that. You'll either
Bow
love
Wow.
it or you'll hate it.
Yeah.
But I believe, all in all, the Batman titles, almost every single one that tied into Batman, that was related to Batman, all of them were pretty good.
Yeah, my favorite part about that is the fact that it seems like they coordinated with each other to make sure that their stories weren't getting mixed up, or if their stories are set in different timelines, that it makes sense.
I mean, there's definitely going to be evidence of crossovers. Like in a couple months, they've already advertised that Nightwing's going to appear in an issue of Batgirl. So I think they're going
Batgirl's supposed to start tying in with Birds of Prey too.
and Nightwing's going to start tying into Scott Snyder's Batman. So and I believe that's like they're getting that networking back together. Probably going to lead into the conclusion of Leviathan, which will take place next year. Grant Morrison's epic. And speaking of Grant Morrison, giving us the new Superman status quo, which we saw his new origins in the his early days in Action Comics, and his new like official present status quo in Superman #1. Very interesting new direction.
Yep.
A completely different Superman, one that we've never
he's
seen before.
A lot more aggressive.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And also other characters related to the Justice League with wonderful series: Aquaman,
Yes.
Wonder Woman, The Flash, and
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. I believe that Green Lantern is going somewhere. We just need to be patient.
It's gonna be good again. I just think Jeff Johns maybe wrote himself into a corner a little bit, so he has to get out of it.
Following War of the Green Lanterns, you kind of have to keep going on that storyline.
No, he does. I agree. I'm just saying. I think when he did that, he kind of wrote himself into a corner.
But I see what they did there. Because Sinestro was the original Green Lantern, and they wanted to kind of start that over again.
Yes.
Because it looks like he's going to be kind of a mentor again to Hal. A little bit.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah. That leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But no, I'm sure it'll be good because I have faith in Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns.
Another one of my favorite things about the DCnU is that we C-listers, C and even D-listers, that I'm pretty sure the majority of people have never even heard of before, have take a prominent spot. Swamp Thing wasn't even prominent until Brightest Day for the longest of times.
Booster Gold until when his new series started out a few years ago.
Yes, and now he's in Justice League International.
Yep.
Demon Knight showcases a whole bunch of
so good.
a whole bunch of different fantasy in that King Arthur era, and Justice League Dark, plenty of superheroes that you'll probably never see in their own book, minus Constantine.
And you actually see, they do set up the weakness, kind of setting for Superman and Batman and all that. It's one of those things. What can they not handle, and who can take care of it?
And you've got Frankenstein and the Creature Commandos all working together in Shade. You've got Resurrection Man, one of my favorite C-list titles that I'm looking forward to continuing. Mm-hmm. And you've just got there's just so much other stuff to look into.
Yeah.
And I think there's completely different stuff like Voodoo,
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of new things that are just interesting.
Yeah.
And it's just, we've got such a vast universe. And actually, when I was reading Blackhawks, it kind of hit me how many just secret organizations there are now.
Yeah.
I believe there are as many, if not more, secret organizations than there are superhero teams now. So you've got a whole world just full of stuff.
Yeah.
So. It's a really rich world because they basically combined 3 different universes into one. So
Stormwatch.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say is bring back Captain Marvel.
Yes, please.
And bring me my Lobo. For the love of God, I miss the main man.
I'm sure they'll put Lobo in there somewhere, and they have to do Captain Marvel at some point.
Yeah, he's been in every major crossover.
It might be a miniseries first, but it will happen. So, you big Captain Marvel fans out there, I know you're there.
Just be patient.
Yeah.
I'm right here. But I believe that DC did a wonderful job with this. I believe it was very successful, not just critically from us and from many other news outlets, but also commercially. I know they've sold out so many of their titles just because people want to see what it is. And I mean, Justice League and Action Comics are going to 3rd and 4th printings.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of controversy with some of the direction they've taken, mostly in the forms of Catwoman and Starfire and Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Mostly about the female characters.
Right, but you're going to find that.
In all honesty, I think the biggest controversy that people have is with Starfire, and that's only because she doesn't match up. She's completely the polar opposite of her cartoon persona in Teen Titans,
which was completely incorrect.
That
was a cartoon. So
yeah, but I mean that's the reason that people.
I guess that's true.
Don't let that stop you. You've got so much good stuff, and we've reviewed every single one, which I think is an awesome accomplishment. And I'm just I'm so excited about DC. And it is a wonderful time to be a comic book fan.
Definitely.
Go to your comic book stores. Check out, if anything just looks remotely interesting, check it out.
Except Static Shock, don't pick that up.
And use our videos to give you some new ideas, and just enjoy this wonderful cornucopia of creativity that DC is dishing out. And I hope you guys have enjoyed all of our reviews for the DCnU, and we will see you next week with brand new reviews. Have a wonderful week.